In the narrow, winding streets of Prague's Jewish quarter, a legend was born that would echo through centuries. A legend of clay brought to life, of mystical words inscribed on parchment, of a creature created to protect the persecuted. This is the story of the Golem, a tale that blends Jewish mysticism, medieval folklore, and the timeless question, what happens when humans try to create life? The word Golem appears in the Hebrew Bible, in Psalm 139, where it refers to an unformed, shapeless mass. In Jewish mystical tradition, a golem is an animated being crafted entirely from inanimate matter, usually clay or mud, and brought to life through sacred rituals. Unlike a human, a golem has no soul. It cannot speak. It exists only to serve its creator. The concept emerges from Kabbalistic texts, particularly the Sefer Yetzirah, or Book of Creation, which describes how God formed Adam from dust and breathed life into him. If God could create life from earth, the mystics wondered, could a sufficiently holy and learned person do the same? But there was always a warning. Such power was dangerous. Creating life was the domain of the divine, and mortals who attempted it risked catastrophe. The earliest stories of golem creation appear in Talmudic literature and medieval Jewish mysticism. In the Talmud, certain rabbis are said to have created calves or other creatures through deep study of the Sefer Yetzirah. These were not acts of hubris, but demonstrations of spiritual mastery, proof that one had penetrated the deepest secrets of creation. By the Middle Ages, the idea had evolved. Golems were no longer just intellectual exercises. They became protectors. In a time when Jewish communities across Europe faced persecution, pogroms, and blood libels, the golem represented hope, a supernatural guardian who could defend the defenseless. The method of creation varied, but common elements appeared again and again: the shaping of clay into human form, the inscription of sacred names, and the animation through the Hebrew word emet, meaning truth. To deactivate the golem, one letter would be erased, changing emet to met, meaning death. The most famous golem story centers on Rabbi Judah Loew ben Bezalel, known as the Maharal of Prague. He lived in the late 16th century, a time of great learning and great danger for Prague's Jewish community. According to legend, the Jews of Prague were facing a wave of accusations, false claims that they used Christian blood in religious rituals. These blood libels often led to violence, expulsions, and death. Rabbi Loew, a scholar of immense wisdom and mystical knowledge, decided to act. On the banks of the Vltava River, he gathered clay. With the help of his son-in-law and a trusted student, he shaped the clay into the form of a man. They walked around the figure 7 times, reciting verses from the Sefer Yetzirah. Then, Rabbi Loew inscribed the word emet on the golem's forehead, or, in some versions, placed a piece of parchment with the name of God in its mouth. The golem's eyes opened. It rose. It lived. Rabbi Loew named him Joseph and commanded him to protect the Jewish community from harm. The golem patrolled the streets of the ghetto. It exposed false accusers. It prevented violence before it could begin. For a time, the Jews of Prague were safe. But the golem was not human. It had no soul, no conscience, no understanding of nuance or mercy. It followed orders, but it could not think. It could not feel. As time passed, the golem grew stronger and more unpredictable. In some versions of the tale, Rabbi Loew forgot to deactivate the golem before the Sabbath, when all work must cease. The golem, still animated, began to rampage through the streets, smashing buildings and terrifying the people it was meant to protect. In other versions, the golem fell in love, or grew jealous, or simply became too powerful to control. Rabbi Loew realized his mistake. The creature he had made to protect his people had become a threat. He lured the golem back to the synagogue and erased the first letter of emet, leaving only met. The golem collapsed into lifeless clay. Rabbi Loew carried the remains to the attic of the old synagogue, where, according to legend, they remain to this day, hidden, waiting, dormant. The golem is more than a ghost story. It is a parable. It speaks to the dangers of unchecked power, of creation without responsibility, of tools that become weapons. In the golem, we see the double edge of human ambition, the desire to protect and the risk of destruction. The golem cannot be blamed for its actions. It has no will. It is clay shaped by human hands and animated by human words. The responsibility lies with the creator. This theme resonates across centuries. In Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, we see the golem's literary descendant, a creature made by man, abandoned by man, and turned into a monster by man's fear. In the 20th century, the golem became a symbol of technology run amok, of artificial intelligence, of weapons that cannot be unbuilt. It asks a question that every generation must answer. Just because we can create something, does that mean we should? The legend of the golem spread far beyond Prague. In the early 20th century, it inspired a wave of artistic works. In 1915, Gustav Meyrink published The Golem, a novel that blended mysticism, horror, and the eerie atmosphere of Prague's Jewish quarter. In 1920, Paul Wegener directed The Golem, How He Came into the World, one of the masterpieces of German expressionist cinema. The film's stark shadows, towering sets, and tragic narrative influenced countless works that followed, from horror films to science fiction. The golem appeared in comic books, where it became a superhero defending the innocent. It appeared in fantasy novels, video games, and television shows, each retelling adding new layers to the myth. In some versions, the golem is a tragic figure, longing for humanity it can never possess. In others, it is a force of nature, unstoppable, unthinking, inevitable. But in every version, the golem remains a mirror, reflecting our hopes and our fears about creation, control, and consequence. For Jewish communities, the golem holds special meaning. It is a story of survival, of using wisdom and faith to protect against persecution. It is also a story of limits, of recognizing that even the most righteous intentions can lead to disaster if pursued without caution. During the Holocaust, the golem took on new resonance. Some saw it as a symbol of the Jewish people themselves, created, persecuted, resilient, and misunderstood. Others saw it as a warning. The dehumanization, whether of a clay figure or a living person, leads to tragedy. In modern Israel, the golem appears in art, literature, and political discourse, sometimes as a defender, sometimes as a cautionary tale about the use of force. The legend adapts, as all great legends do, to the needs and fears of each generation. Today, the golem feels more relevant than ever. We live in an age of artificial intelligence, automation, and machines that learn. We create systems we do not fully understand. We build tools that can act without our direct control. Like Rabbi Lowe, we shape our creations with the best intentions, to protect, to serve, to improve life. But like the golem, these creations can grow beyond our control. They can amplify our biases. They can make decisions we did not anticipate. They can cause harm we did not intend. The golem reminds us that creation is not enough. We must also take responsibility. We must build in safeguards. We must be willing to deactivate what we have made, even if it is powerful, even if it is useful. We must remember that the word emet, truth, can become met, death, with the removal of a single letter. In Prague, the Old New Synagogue still stands, one of the oldest active synagogues in Europe. Its attic is closed to the public. According to legend, the remains of Rabbi Lowe's golem still rest there, covered in dust and shadow. Some say that if the Jewish people are ever in mortal danger again, the golem will be reawakened. Others say it is better left undisturbed, a reminder of the past, not a weapon for the future. Tourists and scholars alike gaze up at the synagogue's roof, wondering what lies within. But the attic remains sealed. Perhaps that is as it should be. Some creations are best left in legend. The golem is clay and mysticism. It is folklore and philosophy. It is a story about power and protection, creation and consequence. It asks us to consider, what do we make and why? What do we control and what controls us? In the end, the golem is not just a creature of Jewish legend. It is a story for all of us. A reminder that the greatest danger is not in what we create, but in forgetting that we are responsible for it. The golem waits in the attic, and the question waits with it. When we bring our creations to life, will we have the wisdom to know when to let them rest?